Yo, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're actually going to have an interview with another fellow ATM business owner. His name is Justin Finn. I believe he has 7 machines. So, definitely a lot to learn from this guy. He's out in California, so definitely pay attention because this guy can actually provide you with a lot of valuable information. All right, so this is Justin Finn. He's an ATM owner. He lives out in California. He's been doing this for, about 2 years so far?
Yeah, a little over 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has 7 ATMs, and you do both permanent placement and event placement as well. So on the last call, you said that your first ATM was inside of a barbershop. So why did you actually choose for that to be your first location? Like, why didn't you go for a larger location like a bar or like a dispensary or something like that?
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Doing my research and kind of really diving into this before I made my first ATM purchase, I already knew that in my readings that barbershops were, almost typically always a good spot.
Right.
And it just so happened that my really good friend owned a few barbershops out here in my area already.
Right.
So I kind of just put the 2 and 2 together right away. I just asked him like, hey, man, I'm learning this business. Would you mind if I place an ATM in here? Gave him the whole spiel, and right away he was totally super cool with it. So it happened to be a good spot, a good location.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds like it was pretty easy to like convince him. What about your other locations? Like, was it hard to get the owner to sign your contract or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, not really. I would say another good thing for me putting this first location into my buddy's barbershop is that I could spend, hours and hours at the shop and he wouldn't really worry.
Right.
So I was in there, a full, 2-3 days, just kind of learning the machine, learning the ins and out of it, programming it. So I definitely knew, about the machine and how to sell it and how it would benefit any business owner, really. So just kind of took that knowledge and then didn't really have any serious rebuttals. I would say one of the most difficult things in actually finding a good location would be making sure there's not already an ATM in the business, right? Trying to catch it as they are brand new. We still have a lot of development out here in this area, so there's still a lot of buildings being constructed and new businesses opening. So that's kind of what I target, is something that's fairly new, that fits the criteria of what a good location will be, and then try to go after them that way.
Right. Yeah, I know there's a lady in the Facebook group. She actually got into a 7-Eleven because it was just being built. So she found the owner and she got in there. She probably makes at least $2,000 a month on that location alone.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Gas stations are just super great locations for sure.
Yeah, so for your first machine, or I guess all your machines, you install them and you program them yourself?
My first machine, I actually did.
Oh, wow.
I was fortunate enough to have a good mentor on my side. And, he did offer the pre-programming and all that, which, of course, is a little additional, money. And I'm over here trying to save up everything I can to make sure I keep the machine stocked. And, I purchased the first machine with the credit card, actually. So I wanted to pay that off and just make sure I was keeping my expenses relatively low. And he right off the bat said, this is going to be fairly easy. It's going to be your first time, but I'll walk you right through it. So we kind of did that, and it worked out fine. And now I could, program those things with one hand tied behind my back and my eyes closed.
Right. Now, what about the installation part? Because I know a lot of people, they're not really handymen, or they're not good with drills or anything like that. You drilled it yourself?
Yeah, so I did drill it myself. And I kind of have a background of, working on stuff around the house. So I already had that background, and it wasn't really too much difficulties for me doing it. But I would kind of recommend if it's your very first time and you're not too familiar with the tools or how to do it, or what type of floor you're drilling into, if it's tile or carpet, there are different. Definitely don't want to ruin the business owner's floor. So,
right.
Again, just make sure you do it correctly, and if you have to have someone come out, pay them to do it, do so. But then just kind of oversee everything. So in the future, you're able to do it yourself. It definitely saves some additional money on that.
Oh, for sure. Because it runs like $300 plus. I don't know what it runs for you guys, but.
Yeah, no, that's what I was quoted actually. I was quoted $300, and I was like, I'd rather definitely save that. For sure.
Right, and you can take that money and buy the tools and just do it yourself. and you still save money.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Now, what about, so you were saying that your buddy has this barbershop where you first put your machine in. What would you recommend to people who don't have any connections whatsoever? Like, how would they go about finding a location or getting that first location?
That's a great question. And for someone who's fairly new, I would definitely use maybe your own personal social media at first and just, put a personal message out there, because you never know. You might have a buddy who knows a buddy who owns a business, right? And that's an easy connection. Otherwise, just again, I rely heavily on social media, Instagram and Facebook, and just kind of keep an eye out what's happening, what's going on, what new businesses are coming in, and definitely try to catch them when they're fresh and when they're when they're not open yet. Out here, that works really well. But if you have to go, face to face to a business owner, you're just walking around, definitely scope out the spot. Make sure it's going to be a good location. Because you don't want to just put an ATM in the first business that you come across, right? You want it to make sense in the long run.
Yeah, you definitely have to pick and choose, because, I've had businesses where I've had to pull my machines out. You've had businesses you probably had to pull machines out of as well. Now, what about the split with your business owner? The first guy, the barbershop guy, did you give him a large chunk of your surcharge just to get your foot in the door? Or did you, was it a pretty fair deal?
Yeah, so with him, again, he's my buddy. He didn't ask for anything.
Wow.
I didn't offer anything. So that was, again, kind of like the testing grounds, if you will, for it. But, going into it, you're definitely going to want to have some type of structure in place, because there's going to be business owners out there who, they're a little smart, and they're business owners, right? They want to cram as much money as they can out of their daily operations.
For sure.
So definitely be prepared to structure it how you like. If you're comfortable with 100 transactions a month, that's great. What's your surcharge? How much are you going to be paying this guy? Is it going to be 25 cents, 50 cents, or is it on a structured of a tier type of setup?
Right.
So whatever at the end of the day keeps you content and happy with how much profit you're making at that location, keep that in mind when you're going to be offering these location owners a percentage of your surcharge.
Right. Now, what about your event placement? How does that, how do the fees work there? Like, do you pay them like a vendor fee of like a flat rate fee, or you pay them per transaction?
So events, man, events are great. I love events. I have 2 machines just dedicated for events right now. And so I think every event's a little bit different, just depending on what type of event it is. If there's going to be, cash only vendors, cash only bar, cash only entrance fee. So what I do is I kind of ask all those questions, bring it in, kind of figure out a plan that's ultimately going to make sense for the both of us, right? You don't want to go in there and just gouge on these events. You want to make sure they're happy. And if it's a great event, then to continue doing it year after year after year, right? Be their provider. So it just really depends on the event and the structure. But I typically offer a fairly good amount back to the event organizer, after I cover like my hard costs, right? So say it's my gas and, my time or whatever it is, but definitely fair. A good thing with events as well is that you could charge a little extra. You could charge up to like, a $4 surcharge or a $5 surcharge even. So you could get away with this at events and no one's going to really rebuttal. So that gives you some extra wiggle room to, maybe give the event organizer $1 per transaction, right? Something like that. And he's going to be great, an extra $200 for doing nothing, right? I provided this ATM. All my vendors are extremely satisfied because they got paid in cash, and maybe they got a little extra business, right, with people who are in there just kind of spur of the moment, paying for things. So it's more of a service. I see it. It's more of a service to the event organizer, providing that to them, and then also keeping the cash flowing for all the vendors. And everyone, kind of looks at you like, oh, that's the ATM guy. Thank you. Thank you for providing that at the end of the day. So that's kind of how I structure my events. Yeah,
because you're there to pretty much benefit all of the businesses who are also there. So, I mean, they show you some love.
Yeah,
for sure.
They absolutely do, and it's great.
Yeah. Now, what about the cash for the event? Is that all your own cash? Did you get a loan or a line of credit or something like that for all that cash?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So my very first event, which I walked into this, I landed this, I think it was like a night market. And I was like, okay, great. I'm going to put, I'm going to put 5,000 into this machine and it's going to last the entire event. Boy, was I wrong. I ran out of money before the event was even like 4 hours away from being over. So, I was put into a predicament for sure. Cause I started off with not having a lot of capital. Plus I had to keep, you have to keep in mind that I had to keep enough cash available for my permanent locations. Right. So, so ultimately what I did is I went to a family member, my dad in this case, and I was like, hey, he knew I was in the business. He already knew what was going on and how the back end worked, where you get your vault cash, the very next day, or if it's a weekend, you get it, on that Monday.
Right.
So he ultimately funded the first few events until I built up enough capital to fund it myself. And events are great, but they can definitely go through a lot of cash in a short period of time.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I haven't done any events yet, but something I'm going to keep on my radar.
Yeah, definitely. Events are great. I love events.
So you recommend that beginners start off with permanent placement first and then later on move to events?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. If you're just getting into it, like I said, really try to learn the ins and outs of doing the business in general. Learn the permanent locations and definitely be a little more conscious when it comes to, what business gets an ATM.
Right.
Starting off, I was just like everybody, and I was like, all right, well, oh, you want an ATM? Sure, you get one. Oh, you want an ATM? Sure, you get one. You want one? Sure, everybody gets an ATM, right? And some of those are just horrible, horrible spots. Like I had a restaurant bar that, I thought would do well, and I was helping out the owner because the owner owns another one out where I'm from, and it was doing like 15 transactions a month, and it was just horrible. So you just got to be a little cautious or when you go and choose these locations, but definitely start with the location first, learn your machine, learn the business, save up enough capital if you need to, and then dip your feet into events.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned that, like, say it's like a package deal. The owner says, hey, I have 2 locations, one's good and one's like, all right. I sort of got stuck in that same situation where it was the owner owned one location, but his buddy owned another location. But in order for me to get the second good location, I had to go with the first location, and you get one good deal, one bad deal. So, it kind of cancels each other out.
Right. Yeah, no, that's absolutely the case. And, this kind of goes back to just being transparent, put it in your contracts that, hey, we're gonna try this out. There's gonna be, an X amount of period to do a trial run, whether it's, 30, 60, 90 days. And after that, no hard feelings, but it's just not profitable for yourself or for me. So then you pull the machine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So in our last call, you were saying that you do have a 9-to-5 job. You're there right now. Now for someone who's, at their 9-to-5 job, say they want to transition into being an ATM business owner, or, they want to quit their job. How do they actually, I guess, balance that life? Like, how do they go to work? How do they also do their side hustle? How do they, have a social life and take time to take care of their kids and all that stuff? How do you balance all that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that one of the many, many benefits of being in this ATM business is that it truly, truly is a passive business. I work a 9-to-5. I have kids, so I try to, like you said, just kind of really balance it all. And just a few hours a week will allow me to run. I have 7 ATMs right now in the field, and then my 2 mobile ones. So literally a few hours a week, I will just go and, load all the ATMs, search for my potential locations, and just really have that working in the background. So it's great business. It truly is passive. And once you get your foot inside the door with these businesses, you'll get word of mouth out there. You'll start becoming known as, the ATM guy.
Right.
So it'll require a little bit less of you actually having to spend your time and looking for locations and really trying to, secure the good ones, to start getting people kind of approaching you. And then that's when you're able to, really pick and choose, like, okay, this is going to be a great location. Let me secure this. Boom, done deal. You go install it. You take, 20, 30 minutes installing it, and you load it up, once a week, and it's there sitting, making you a couple $100, $200 extra a month.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a point where, you know, you're chasing all these deals. And then once you get to that certain point, deals kind of just, you know, start to find you. So I think that's really good. Yeah. So I guess one last question. You don't have to answer it if you're not comfortable, but how much do you actually make monthly from your entire portfolio?
So that's another good question. And I mean, it definitely varies a lot. I really have these two ATMs just sitting in my garage. So I try to capture as many outdoor events as possible, you know, and I think I've been pretty good at it. I had one last weekend. I have one this upcoming weekend.
Okay.
And then I have a few already scheduled for the beginning of December. There's a lot of events, you know, for the holidays and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So without my events ATMs, I would say with my 7 that I currently have, and again, I'm restructuring everything to pull some of the slower locations, and I know what to look for now. It's all trial and error. It's anywhere between $335 to like $4,500.
Okay.
So it's, you know, and once I kind of restructure that and pull some of the slower ones, put them in, you know, better locations, then, you know, that's just gonna increase that.
Right. I mean, that's pretty good. You're the only person in your business, or do you have?
I'm
okay.
the only person.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know. Some people don't even make that in a year at their, you know, full-time jobs. I mean, I think that's really good. Even a side hustle, you know, that's.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, it's awesome. Yeah, so I mean, for all the people watching right now, yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys learned something, and, you know, show him some love in the comment section below. Also, I'll link his social media in the description as well. So if you want to go over, follow his Instagram, his Facebook, I'll leave it down there. Yeah, thanks so much for, you know, agreeing to do this again. I know we did it before, but, you know, I know you're a busy guy, so.
It's all good, Chad. I appreciate it. I know you do a lot for the group and for your viewers, and it's very well noticed, man. I know a lot of these guys are looking to you and looking to your videos and your training and all that to gain a better knowledge of the business, and that's definitely appreciated. We really appreciate that. Thank you
for sure.
much.
Thank you guys so much for staying till the end of the video. If you like this kind of content, make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below, and go ahead and check out Justin's social media stuff down below. I'll link that there. And if you're interested in starting your own ATM business, click on the video over here. I never remember which side it's on. Click on that video and you guys will learn the steps into starting an ATM business. Peace.